Oh, well, hello there. It is Monday, March 10th. You can always tell when I have a rough, long night. I look like crap the next day. Got some bags under the eyes. Well, I'll tell you, Canada has a new Prime Minister designate. Mark Carney won the Liberal leadership. And now the real race begins. I mean, I voted for him in the Liberal leadership. I became a member of the party and voted for him. So far, he has my attention. Be interesting to see how it all plays out in an actual election against Pierre Polyev. There's a lot of hope pinned on Carney, and I think people might end up being a little disappointed. Pierre Polyev has been a professional politician for 20 years. He has mastered the art of the cut and thrust that's required. But, I mean, these are challenging times, and I think when we have an election, I firmly believe that we'll probably have an election called before the recalling of Parliament on March 24th. I think Carney will pull the plug on the government himself. He needs a seat, anyways. So it doesn't make much sense to run in a by election just to have an election in October. And I do believe that Canadians need a say. They need government needs a mandate, regardless if it's liberal or conservative or whomever. I think this election and this time requires the voice of the people. So I think that we'll have an election end of May, or end of April, beginning of May. That's kind of my gut feeling as to when I think it will happen, but due for one by October regardless. So, which leads me to interesting, just as soon as Carney won, the amount of trolling and bot accounts out there, it's just crazy. Like the number of posts on social media about how Carney was unelected in communism and it's a dictator and he's not the prime minister and we need an election now. Blah 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 blah. Right? Like it's hilarious because they're bots, so you when you engage with them, you just feed the algorithm, right? So it's best just to avoid them and not even engage. But to my surprise, well, not really, but there's just even okay, Americans I can understand not understanding the Canadian political system. But there's a lot of Canadians out there that just do not understand how a constitutional monarchy, Westminster style parliament works. Like no idea. It's like we have leaders of parties who lead the government at the confident they have to have the confidence of the House. We don't directly vote for prime minister in this country, even in a general election. It just the amount of sheer stupidity, it just blows me away. Like this is stuff that is taught in, grade 9 freaking social studies, right? But yeah, and it's like, oh, it's not fair. Only 150,000 Canadians voted, and he's prime minister. And it's like, well, the Liberal Party made it pretty easy to freaking become a member. It didn't cost anything. So there's no money. You had to be 14. I mean, this is the only time that anybody under the age of 18, as long as you were a Canadian citizen or had, the legal right to vote in this country, you could have voted in the Liberal Party. I mean, that's pretty whack that a 14-year-old could have voted for Prime Minister, but can't vote in the upcoming election. So, I mean, yeah, it's a holdover from 2013 when the Liberal Party was in the toilet and they just needed as many supporters as possible, so they opened up the party to pretty much anybody. Right? Didn't change that, so I have a sneaking suspicion that the Liberal Party will be changing their constitution on how they run leadership races for the future. But regardless, neither here nor there. For those people out there who are worried, there will be a general election sooner rather than later, and you will have a say. And yeah, so but yeah, just the amount of false information out there is absolutely crazy. I think that this upcoming election, there's going to be a lot of misinformation spread on social media, and I think it's our job to call it out and to make sure that people hear truthful, news sources and stuff, right? I haven't talked about this, but I'm a pretty news savvy guy. I follow a lot of news, and the biggest complaint is, oh, you just listen to the CBC, or you just listen to CTV, or you just listen to CNN, or you just follow Fox, right? And it's like, well, I actually follow all of them, right? I've got like 14 different news apps on my phone, from BBC, Al Jazeera, Deutsche Welle, CBC, CTV, CNN, Fox News, Bloomberg, Associated Press, Reuters, like you name it, right? And I also subscribe to a service called Ground News. I think I've talked about them before, right? It costs me $1 a month, but it curates my news, and it curates the headlines, and it lets me know the biases of the story. Is it a right-leaning or a left-leaning bias? Who owns the media that's publishing the news, right? You can't just be in echo chambers, people. You cannot just absorb content that you like. I mean, as much as I fucking hate Fox News, oh God, and OAN and Newsmax, and just like, they're just Breitbart. They're the cesspool of news. But I have to, if in order to know what they're talking about, right? You cannot beat disinformation if you don't have information, right? So, yeah, I don't know. Not to toot my own horn, but it's because I'm retired and I have the time. But you know, I'm in the trenches. There's people out there who are in the trenches, and listening to what the other side is saying, because we need to know. We need to know what lies they're spreading so we can counter those lies, right? You got to make sure that you're active. I found out today that here in Alberta, Danielle Smith is doing some Prager University speech March 25th down in Florida, and she's a co-speaker with Ben fucking Shapiro, anti-Canada, pro-troll fucking shill, and she's out there on the taxpayer's dime because she's there to, work for on behalf of the interest of, Canadian and Albertans and stuff, right? But yeah, like, I called her constituency office. I called her premier's office. I called my local MLA. And on my threads, I posted the information. Add that in with this Alberta healthcare scandal. The corruption runs deep in that government. And, it's just, you got to fight. Then it's tiresome. It's exhausting. But if you don't do it, then you'll get steamrolled, right? It's hard. It's hard work. And it's not going to get any easier. I have a feeling that things are not going to end well. I pray I'm wrong, but I haven't been wrong so far. And war is coming. It's not going to be in the next week or so, but before the end of Trump's term, things are going to go bad. All right? And we need to be prepared. And I hope that Canada and Canadians are strong enough for the upcoming fight, because this is going to be World War II level stuff. All right. So yeah. Anyway, it's just it's crazy. So make sure you let your politicians know. Make sure you keep yourself informed, and make sure that you fight disinformation with facts and information, and let people know that they are one voice of many, and many voices gets pretty loud. So yeah, fight fascism, take care of each other, and have yourself a great day.